A conservative guest on Fox News thinks that poor people should be treated and starved like dogs. Take a look.
We're incentivizing people to stay home. What if we gave that additional unemployment benefits to employers to incentivize people to go to work?
Well, what if we just cut off the unemployment? I mean, hunger is a pretty powerful thing. I don't mean physical hunger, because people who truly are in need help. I'm talking about people who can work but refuse to work.
I have a friend in the military who trains military dogs, Laura, and they only feed a military dog at night because a hungry dog is an obedient dog. Well, if we're not causing people to be hungry to work, then we're providing them with all the meals they need sitting at home.
Okay. Yikes. What in the actual fuck? Now, that was on Laura Ingram's show, and this John Taffer guy, not good. So let me just point out how, by the way, this is not only dehumanization, of course, but it's actually the capitalist mindset. Starve people enough so they have to work. So they want to be hungry for work, or in this case, literally hungry. And he uses this example. Here's the thing. No, I don't believe the military starves dogs. For one, that's animal abuse. But again, he goes on to dehumanize real human beings. And this is what they do. They call people on welfare leeches and dogs and, drains in society, drags in society, the dregs. It's gross, incredibly gross. How can you hear that and be like, oh, no, totally fine, nailed it. Fuck them poors. Lazy. So now this is in the context that she said, why don't you just end the enhanced unemployment benefits? I mean, that were created by the pandemic. Here's the thing. We still have a spike in COVID cases thanks to the Delta variant. Not only that, but here's the thing. Those benefits are not contributing to the so-called labor shortage. In fact, one study found that increasing unemployment checks in the pandemic didn't cause a drop in unemployment at all. In fact, people kept looking for jobs at the same rate as before, and employers actually didn't struggle to find employees any more than usual. And when extra benefits did abruptly expire last July, middle of the pandemic, by the way, when we didn't even have the vaccine, there was no sudden increase in the number of people that were working. You know why? It's because people have legitimate reasons to have not worked and still do. And let me give you a couple of those reasons, by the way. For one, many families still don't have childcare. There's no universal childcare in this country. Only about half of all schools have fully resumed in-person classes, and with, of course, the Delta variant targeting children more often now than previous variants of COVID-19, well, that poses a huge, huge problem for in-person schooling. You also have a lack, as I said, of providers, childcare providers that have opened up, and we don't have, as I said, universal childcare to help those people. And we also have pay. Of course, that's really important. That was way too low, which is why companies who raise their wages are actually doing better at finding employees and reducing turnover than companies who refuse to raise their wages at all. So now, getting back to this guy, right? Is there any question whether or not he actually raised his wages? I think we all know the answer to that. I think that the reason that nobody wants to work for his ass is because, not because of unemployment, but because you don't want to pay his workers. You don't want to pay his workers fair wages, a living wage. So now he's going to accuse people to, well, you know what? You're just sucking off the government. We should get rid of your unemployment benefits. But here's what, hold on. I just found something interesting. Oh, would you look at that? Is that a government handout in the form of a Paycheck Protection Program loan? No, two of them. actually. Look at that. Total of $60,000 for John Taffer. Interesting. Interesting. So now I guess he wasn't, hungry enough for work not to take that free handout. Maybe we should, I don't know, starve him of all these handouts to see how he fares. So one last point, going back to that hungry dog analogy. It's not only, again, dehumanizing and indicative of animal abuse, which is horrifying. At the same time, hungry dogs, you would think actually would be more aggressive and predatory because people are desperate. The dogs are desperate and have to eat. And so you would think that it would make them less obedient. I mean, we all watch, I don't know about you, but I remember Game of Thrones, and Ramsay Bolton had a bunch of dogs. He loved starving his dogs and then sicking them on people until, of course, he got eaten by his own dogs. Oops. Well, I mean, to make this bad comparison, probably worse, what do you think will happen specifically to rich people if human beings were allowed to go hungry en masse? Are you sure you want to think about that? I mean, do you want to go there? You might not have heard the phrase "eat the rich," but if you keep going with this incredibly cruel and inhumane position, well, you might find out. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.